Hey now, this is Rob with Buhler Bros Flies for the Kern River Fly Shop. Today we're going to be tying the third in our series of soft hackle flies, and we're going to be doing the jig version of the hare's ear soft hackle. And since many of us are cooped up at home with a little bit of cabin fever, I'm going to be giving you several options on each step for substitutes so we can all spin up some bugs and fill up our fly boxes. We'll start by dropping in the hook we're going to be using today, which is another one of those fulling mill jig hooks, and this one's in size 8. If you don't have the fulling mill, use another style. If you don't have size 8, use a different size. If you don't have jig hooks, use a standard nymph hook. And then the bead we're using is a slotted tungsten bead in the 4mm size. Go ahead and use whatever color you have available, whatever size you got available. If you don't have an appropriate size or color, then go ahead and spin it up without the bead. And the thread we're going to be using today is our uni thread, size 6/0 in tan. If you don't have tan, use black, red, use whatever you got. Any style, any color, be creative. And we're going to attach that right behind the bead and build up several thread wraps there just to kind of push our bead into place and keep it up by the eye up there. And then take a couple wraps toward the rear of the hook and we can trim our excess. And then we're going to move it back a little bit more to maybe the 50% mark for preparing to tie in our tail. And we're going to use hare's mask for the bulk of this fly. It's a little rabbit here in his face. So right between the eyes here is this nice long spiky material, and we're going to use some of that for the tail. If you don't have a hare's mask, you can substitute with some black deer hair or just about any color deer hair you want. Elk hair will work as well. And what's another good substitute? Oh, the hen saddle that we'll be using for our soft hackle. You can just use the hen saddle fibers and that works really well too. So we're going to take some of those spiky fibers from the middle of that hare's mask that I showed you and prepare those for tie-in. I already stroked out some of the softer dubbing material from the base, and we're going to measure that to go about 1/3 or 1/2 of the hook shank off the back of the hook. So we're going to need to bring our thread back just a little bit more for tying that in. A couple wraps on the base here. We're going to, up in between the fingers. It's going to help us gather that material. And then we'll work our way toward the back, keeping the fibers on top of the hook shank as we work toward that hook bend. Got a nice buggy tail there started, and we'll bring our thread back forward to about the 75% mark, and we're going to wrap in a wire ribbing material. And the wire we're using today is a small amber ultra wire. If you don't have amber, substitute any color you have. And if you don't have a wire, you can use an alternative thread color for a ribbing. Give me a second. Unfortunately, I lost my little piece that I had prepared for this, so I'm gonna get another little strip prepared here. Sorry about that delay. I'll come in here with our wire rib, attach that at the 75% mark, and then work our way toward the back of the hook shank and stop right at the base of the tail there. And the dubbing we're going to use is the hare's mask again, but we're going to pull some of the fibers from the cheek area, which is a little bit lighter color, and there's not as many of those spiky fibers. So we're going to attach a little bit of that, or dub a little bit of that onto the thread here. by spinning it all in the same direction as we go. And if you're having a hard time attaching it to the thread, you can moisten your fingertips just a touch, or use some wax, dubbing wax, and then we'll wrap that dubbing forward. I'm going to have to add a little bit more as we go here. We're going to cover about 2/3 of the body, creating an abdomen here with this lighter dubbing. That's about right. And then we'll bring our wire rib forward, segmenting the body with evenly spaced wraps. Doing maybe 5 or 6 wraps through the body here. Wrap that off up front. 2 thread wraps over that wire. We're going to secure that in place. And then while keeping tension on the thread, you can spin the wire, and that'll pop that wire off for you without using your scissors. And then our next step is going to be our wing case. I'm going to be using some medallion sheeting in the buggy brown color. If you don't have medallion sheeting, then a good substitute is pheasant tail fibers, or again, the fibers from your hen saddle. Any of the hen saddles that are out there, or hen backs will be appropriate for this section. We're going to take a small strip, maybe the width, 3/4, 2/3 of the width of that hook cape, and attach that in front of the abdomen. Now we're going to try and get that even on top of the hook shank. And bring our thread back right to where the abdomen ended. And that's creating a little space for our thorax up front here. And then the dubbing we're using for our thorax, oops, I just dropped it on the floor, is from the middle as well of the hare's mask. And it's a little bit darker and a little bit more spiked to create a little bit of contrast between the abdomen and the thorax area. So we're going to dub this on the same way, a little bit at a time, spinning all in one direction. If it's not spinning on for you, moisten your fingertips just a touch, or add a little dubbing wax to the thread. I'm not a huge fan of the dubbing wax. It ends up getting on your fingers, and then everything sticks everywhere. We've got a little bit attached here. We'll start with that and see if we need to add more. And we're going to make the thorax area a little bit bulkier than the abdomen as well. So we're going to need to add a little bit more material here, not only to finish off that space, but just to beef it up a little bit. There we go. And we're going to leave a little bit of space behind the bead to tie off our thorax, but then also to wrap in our soft hackle. So we've got a nice buggy thorax here. And we're going to bring that wing case or medallion sheeting material up over the top. Secure that in place behind the bead. A couple wraps. And we can trim our excess here. And do the same thing if you have the hen saddle, or if you're using the pheasant tail material, same process. And then 1 or 2 more wraps, and we're going to create a little space, push some of those fibers down out of the way, and create a little space for attaching our soft hackle. And the soft hackle we're using today is the Brahma hen saddle from Whiting Farms. It comes in really cool colors, got a lot of sweet modeling on it there, and very soft and supple too. If you don't have the Brahma hand saddle, you can use any hand saddle you have available. You can use grouse, you can also use partridge. Hand back material is appropriate. So we're going to take one of these Brahma hand saddles and stroke back the fibers from the tip. So grip the tip, sweep everything back toward the bottom. That'll prepare our area for tie-in. And we're going to trim that tip, leaving just a little triangle at the tip there. And that's going to be the area we're going to use to tie in. And wrap that in right where our thread is at the top of that thorax area behind the bead. And a couple securing wraps to hold that in place. And then we're going to wrap our soft hackle the same as we did on our last tutorials, sweeping those fibers toward the back as you go. Come around with one wrap. And you want a little bit of a soft touch on this. If you pull too hard, it puts a lot of tension on the fibers and it's tough to direct them where you want. So a little bit of loose wrap here. We went around once already. We're coming around our second time. Again, sweeping everything toward the back. 2 wraps is plenty. Probably get away with 1, but 2 is plenty to cover all the way around the shank. And we're going to come up and grab that hackle stem, but keep in front of all the hackle that we've already wrapped in. And we'll come up and do that again. Second wrap. And then we can trim our excess up here. Careful not to get the other feathers you have in there. And then we want to secure all this stuff in place, so we're going to sweep back all those hackle fibers toward the back. Try not to poke yourself on that hook shank. And a couple thread wraps. And that's looking really sweet. Everything is uniform, coming in shape toward the back. The hackle tip should come to about where the barb would be, or just past that, as kind of an average hackle size. So this one's looking real sweet, size appropriate. And then we're going to finish it off with 3 half-hitch knots, or you can do your whip finish. And then we'll trim our excess. And if you're doing your half hitches, just pull counterclockwise and make sure everything's secure before you trim it off. You can add your glue of choice. I've been using super glue Loctite lately. It's working really good, inexpensive, and you can find it just about any store. So there we go. We got a soft hackle hare's ear. This imitates in this size the smaller stoneflies that are found all over the Kern and just about any free stone in California, and then imitates the larger mayflies as well. So hopefully you guys can tie up a variation of your own, fill up your fly box, and get out on the water soon. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you next time.